There's been a new study from Auckland University that has found parents raising children with autism have significantly lower physical health and mental well-being than other parents. The study, which is the first of its kind in New Zealand and among only a handful, actually, of similar studies globally, showed a lack of awareness around autism spectrum disorder, ASD, and a lack of support for children and their parents were the main causes. The lead researcher, Daniel Shepherd, an associate professor at the university, said some of the stories that parents shared with researchers were heartbreaking, such as thoughts of suicide and infanticide, as well as a lot of participants lamenting the child's autism had broken up the family because other family members just didn't know how to relate or accept autism. Shepherd, though, was quick to point out it didn't mean parents did not love their children, because they certainly did and do. But there is certainly the challenge there that's not associated with raising a child that doesn't have autism. So joining me now is Autism New Zealand's Chief Executive, Dane Dougan. Hello, Dane. Good evening.
Hello, how are you doing?
I'm good, and I'm really interested to have this conversation with you, Dane, so I appreciate your time. I suppose the first question for you to explain to me and to our listeners is what is autism spectrum disorder?
Sorry, you cut out there. What was the question? Sorry, you cut out.
Well, sorry, Dane. So basically, what is autism? What is ASD?
Oh, cool. Yeah. So there's a number of different definitions, but we like to use it as it's just a different way of thinking for people. The brain's wired slightly differently, and they take those situations, certain situations, differently than non-autistic or neurotypical people do. So it could be things like they hear noises far more intently than other people, so that's sort of the hearing sensory overload, potentially, the light sensory overload, so they see things more intense than other people. Social situations, they may not be as comfortable in those type of situations, versus the need for 24/7 care for the rest of your life. So it is a really, really wide spectrum or circle of need for our community. And I think that's one of the challenges, and I think Daniel's kind of raised that a little bit around, and we know Daniel pretty well, and he's done a great job here. But I think one of the issues is awareness, because everyone, you've met one autistic person, you've met one autistic person. They're all so different, and their needs are different, and you have to understand them as an individual, not just do A plus B and get C, because it doesn't quite work that way.
Yeah. So saying that they are different, and then do we have numbers? Do you have approximately how many New Zealanders does ASD affect?
Geez, yes, it's a good question straight away. No, so we've been advocating for this for a while. We don't actually know. We as a country don't know how many people are diagnosed as autistic in New Zealand, and I think that's a bit of an issue. However, based on international stats, particularly in the Western world, there's no reason to suggest it's any different. That we'd estimate it to be around about 135,000, 140,000 people diagnosed as autistic in New Zealand, and then if you extrapolate that out to like family whānau, carers, loved ones, teachers, professionals, etc., over 500,000 people a day will be interacting with an autistic person. So Daniel's bang on when he says awareness or understanding of autism in the community is not good enough, really.
Right. Yeah. It was sad to read, Dane, that in this study that was conducted, it showed a lot of families do struggle significantly, and they raised some pretty poignant, things in their lives, including breaking up families, all sorts of, like, even ending it. Did that come as a surprise to you?
Oh, look, I guess number one, for me, it's a system that doesn't work for our community. I think that's what I really want to highlight today, that we do know that if we can identify these children early, and if we can support them or diagnose them better and then support them early, that the chances that they can go a whole different trajectory in their life are significantly impacted in the positive. So it'll be a whole different trajectory for that person, which one I think is really important. Two, there's lots and lots of things to love about our autistic tamariki and our autistic adults as well, but there are challenges, obviously, and we're not downplaying those either, and we know that some of the stuff that came through in this report, clearly it's people's experiences, and I think as Daniel mentions in the report, there's things we can do about it to make it a better experiences for carers and family, and we're pretty big on that. But no, it's not surprising that this is some of the experiences. We know that there are significant challenges for our families out there as well, along with a lot of positives that come with having autistic children as well.
So you mentioned it, Dane. You said, as long as it's important to diagnose early, and so that the trajectory of the future of that for the child is, and then you can work with something too. Is there a social stigma around autism?
So I guess from our takes, I've been in the role for 11 years now, which is a lot longer than I thought when I took it, but I love it, and it's definitely a community that's underserved, hence why I'm still here. I think there's still a lot of work to do. So my take on it is, as we sit down, lots of people have done lots of amazing work in this space. We think awareness of autism is actually not too bad. It's the understanding that's not good. And as I said before, I think that's where the challenge really occurs, because most people would have heard of autism, right? But a lot of people's perception of what autism is would still be completely different to what it actually looks like for that particular person and or that particular family, which creates challenges. As I said before, everyone's different, everyone's so individual, and it is such a significant circle of needs that's different for everybody that it's really hard to create that understanding. So we're trying hard to move to that space now, more of an understanding space rather than an awareness space, because as I said, I think most people have heard of autism now, certainly more than it was 10 years ago. There is better awareness, there's certainly better understanding, but it's still not good enough.